4 years ago, I got the heck out of the United States and started traveling the world. Tanzania, Egypt, Turkey, Thailand, just to name a few of the places I've been. But right now, I'm here in Kampala, Uganda. So, why would I trade in sunny Los Angeles, California, where I was born and raised, for a third world human right violating nation like Uganda? Well, there actually are 7 reasons why, and I'm going to break them down for you here in today's video. But first, let me introduce myself. Shalom, it's No Limit Eddie, an American who moved to Africa at just 21 years old. I documented my entire 4-year journey here on this YouTube channel to make your move to Africa even easier. If that sounds interesting to you, drop a like on today's video. Let's start this list off with a bang and talk about racial tension. There's no shortage of evidence that America right now is divided on racial lines. You see, I was talking to my dad the other day, and my dad is a truck driver. He has his own trucking company where he drives state to state. He was telling me about the need that he feels to go ahead and get a concealed carry permit, right? He feels like he needs to carry a gun in order to protect himself. Of a young guy, he was a 21-year-old black trucker from Chicago who ended up being found hanging on a tree in rural North Carolina. Okay? And his death was ruled a self-deletion. And this is like this year. Okay? And so there's been a string of these events happening over in the States, and they're on the rise right now since this whole Kirk situation. That's just one thing, right? Like the black people are fighting white oppression, and then you got Hispanic people going off against deportation and Trump, and then you got the white people saying, white man fight back. Who are they fighting back against? I don't know. White man fight back! But you have everyone kind of like divided on racial lines. And I do believe there's a central entity or even a deity that's in control, right, of all these different angles of like division. As a person who falls in a line of the so-called black race, I'm going to be aligned with my people, right? And you have this whole thing that I'm seeing from the outside called black fatigue, where they're like, people are getting tired of black people. You look at the comments of a video, let's say it's posted where a black person has committed a crime. I'm so sick of this, or another one, or a typical suspect. And I feel as if the rhetoric that's being promoted, that's being talked about right now is more dangerous than ever. Like you're seeing people, especially on Twitter, posting about the most dangerous man in American civilization is a black man between 18 and 40. If these people didn't exist, the country would be so much safer. And when you begin to think about, like, okay, well, if that's the truth, let's just say that's the truth based on their pseudoscience, then what's the solution? And this is a major point about racial tension that I want to get to is the Charlie Kirk situation, right? This guy took out this guy. Look at the similarities in their appearance. Yet, the person that's being blamed is black people. Because right after this whole event, that's when you had the whole protest about white man fight back. Who are you fighting back against? Because it was this guy who did it to this guy. So what does it have to do with me and my people? And you know that they're blaming my people because right afterwards, there was 6 HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, that were receiving threats to the point where they had to actually close down campus and issue shelter-in-place warnings. This never-ending racial tension, right, that you experience in the States, to where if you do nothing, we as a people are to blame. If we do something, we as a people are to blame. Like that never-ending tension is one of the reasons why I say, like, all black people, whether you want to live here or not, need to visit the continent of Africa at least once in their life, right? At least once. Because there's like a weight that we're carrying, like 1,000-pound weight that's on our back. And most of us don't even know we're carrying it. If you want to come to the continent, in reality, you need to come here. I'm not gonna lie to you, at least for a visit. But you have no idea where to start. The best place to start is by picking up a copy of my Ultimate African Relocation Guide, okay? It's gonna help you to determine if moving to the continent is right for you. If you do wanna move to the continent, it's gonna help you do it the right way. And even if you just wanna visit, it'll help you pick the right country to visit. Pick up a copy by hitting the link in this video description or scanning the QR code that you see right now on your screen. Okay, so that was the US, but now let's compare that to my life here in Uganda, where, right, everyone identifies as being black, or even at the very least African. But even more so than that, you don't worry about the big things as in being hung from a tree. Because that vitriol, that hatred that the Caucasian race has for the black race doesn't exist here on the continent. That level of wanting to just humiliate and destroy and just cause maximum harm, like psychological harm to those who survived and witnessed that, but also physical harm to the person that's a victim, that vitriol does not exist within so-called black people, okay, worldwide. Now, this next point is equally as divisive as racial tension, and that's because it is politics. You know, there's a saying that's like, your mouth is an inch away from your nose, but you need someone else to tell you your breath stinks. And hopefully, you guys have also heard that saying before, because if not, I'm gonna sound like a madman who's just making up crazy sayings. So, but it's true, right? Like, when you're in America, there's so many things that happen, so much craziness that happens that goes on, that most of the time you don't even kind of realize or see the fullness of it because you're in that system. And you can use words like America's a matrix, or America's assimilation, or whatever you want to say. But in reality, right, like you can describe it by just real life. I know when I was in America, right, I had exuberantly high rent to pay every month. I had a car note. I had insurance to pay every month. I had to keep my car filled with gas. And gas, I was in LA. I was in Los Angeles. So the gas was $3, $4 a gallon, right? And my car took premium gas. So I had to get the highest cost one. And there was just, I had to go to work every day. It was just like, go, 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 go. You didn't have time to think. You didn't have time to meditate. You didn't have time to reflect, right? It was always just get enough to get to the next month and to the next month and to the next month, right? And so while I'm here and I'm able to kind of see things and reflect on things and like also have a comparison, most people in the States, like we don't really travel so much. We don't live abroad so much. And so you don't really have a comparison to like, okay, this what's going on is not normal, right? And so when I think about some events that have happened since I've been gone, when you have POTUS, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, when he was kicked off of social media, they kicked him off Twitter, they kicked him off of Facebook, they kicked him off of all these different platforms. When you had that same president get thrown into jail, there's a mugshot of the United States president. You have that same president who got shot, Joe Biden, falling and tripping while he's going up the stairs. And you have all these things happening to these people who are the presidents, right? Who are supposed to be the highest ranking member of that population, who's supposed to be the representative of that country. They're getting shot. They're getting thrown into jail. They're getting kicked off of social media. Like, think about the message this sends to the world. At the same time, from me being overseas, they have FBI hearings, like in front of Congress, sworn in saying, yes, UFOs are real. And we've been telling you guys that they don't exist, but now we're admitting they do. So that even the government is admitting to lying to people. Again, this is one of the reasons why I left the US. Like, there was a study done recently by Pew Research. They found that 84% of people, Americans, don't actually trust the US government. Study shows and reveals the truth. It's like some weird delusion, some weird psyop to where we know America has problems, but those same problems, when we see in another nation, we think that other nation is somehow lower than us, right? And I love, what I love about places like Uganda is that it's at least out in the open, right? The leaders know there's corruption. The people know there's corruption. People like me, the tourists, know there's corruption. Everyone knows. And no one pretends that it doesn't exist. But in America, it's like we know there's corruption on a very high level, but somehow we act like we are the least corrupt nation and every other nation is corrupt, right? So I just love that, the fact that it's out in the open. Now, this next point, everyone feels, regardless of their race or of their political views, and that is the insanely high cost of living. For me, the cost of living plays a big role in the quality of life you experience. You see, if you feel like the basics, food, water, and shelter simply cost too much money, it's going to make you feel eventually as if you are living just to work. I'm sure many of you guys can relate to that. And when you do feel like that, I mean, your quality of life goes straight down. So for me, right, like when I was in Los Angeles, I had an apartment in downtown LA, I had 2 cars, life was going okay, right? But I had, and all praise to the Most High for that, truthfully. I had a job and I also had a business, and that kind of what was allowing me to kind of live, I would say, a little bit above average for my age. But even with that, I felt like it was very, very difficult to climb the ranks in America just because everything was so expensive that you didn't really have enough left over to really, whether it was enough time left over or enough money left over to really be able to invest in yourself to continue to grow and continue to expand, right? It was a bit challenging. There's so many articles, right? I'll put one up on the screen right now, but like people in the States right now are having a hard time just surviving. People in the States right now are having a hard time just to like have the basics, the food, the water, the shelter. And I mean, it's to the point now where people can't even afford places to live, right? There's another article I'm putting on the screen where homelessness has risen 18%, 18%, guys, in the last year alone. 1 year, 18% increase in homelessness. Now, even though in the States I could definitely feel the cost of living, I was managing, okay? But climbing the ranks, that felt so difficult. Versus when you compare that to Uganda, right? Like the staples, the food, the water, the shelter are ridiculously low cost on the fact that I came with an advantage. I came with US dollars and I still to this day earn US dollars, right? And I think a lot of people do want to know, like, okay, like you're living abroad, you're traveling abroad. Yes, the cost of living is lower, but how are you even making money to begin with? If that's you, I did create a 10-minute training, okay, that you can actually check out right now. Watch it for free. No email, no number. Just click the link in the description and watch it. Or there might be, you can type in a link, www.nolimiteddy.com/video. Go there, watch the video, and then you also have the chance, if you click that green button on the page, to book in a time to speak with me, and we can discuss the potential of us working together. If you have that question of how I make money, there's your answer. Click the link, watch the video. Now, this kind of goes into a point that I was talking about earlier, right? And there's like this veil on the eyes of most Americans that prevent them from seeing the truth. We think that the food on our shelves is safe because we have things like the FDA. You see, there was a law passed in 1958 that is called like the GRASS Act. What this GRASS Act does is it basically says, okay, food companies can basically police themselves. They can introduce new chemicals into the food. All they got to do is make sure that it's safe. And the thing about it is, the food companies are in complete control of the studies, and they hire the scientists that review it to make sure that it's safe. And there's no like outside third-party companies that have to verify this. They don't have to even submit documentation to the FDA. And I believe it's like since the year 2000, 99% of the chemicals that are now introduced into foods that our Americans are eating, your children are eating, have been put into the market through the GRAS system. So you compare that to a place like Uganda, and Uganda is not perfect, right? None of these African countries are perfect. A lot of the chemicals that were banned in European countries, because European countries seem to care more about their people than the States, banned chemicals were then being sold and marketed as good here in the continent of Africa. And these farmers are now putting the chemicals into their soil. The farmers here need to be educated around the dangers and the harms and the effects of these chemicals. Still, you're eating things closer to the way the Most High intended them, right? Like you can take the seeds from these things, put them in the ground, and you will grow an actual tree, which you can't do in some other place. Some fruits and vegetables don't even have seeds anymore. Now, this next point is something that us Americans think is normal, but it really is not. And that is how unwalkable our cities are. And see, most people don't even walk in the States for two reasons. Either because it's dangerous or because things are too far away. It can be dangerous because you live in a dangerous neighborhood like I did when I was growing up. I didn't really want to walk because it wasn't the safest area. But even if you do live in a like crime safe area, walking in America is just dangerous, point blank, period. Because of statistics like this. Over a 9-year period, right across the states, there was 47,000 people killed due to being struck by a car. And outside of that 47,000 people killed, in that same 9-year period, there was 676,000 people struck by a car. That works out to basically a pedestrian, somebody walking on the street, being struck by a car or truck every 8 minutes. The thing is, this problem is actually getting worse and not getting better. So I think it was from like 2009 to 2020, the number of pedestrian deaths actually rose by 63%. Now, outside of it being unsafe to walk, things are also very far apart. And that actually is by design. So in 1956, they lobbied pretty hard and they spent a lot of money to get the US government to pass something called the Highway Act. Okay, so basically what that said was that the government was going to spend $25 billion to build 41,000 miles of highway. That number might be lost on some of you guys. So that was 1956 when this happened. So in today's money, that's $270 billion. That was the largest US government project at that time. They're purposely making sure cities are unwalkable so that way America stays car dependent. Okay, and this highway lobby, right? And again, we're talking about why America's unwalkable, but this highway lobby, they also did two other things, right? Which I'll talk about quickly. Number one, they actually funded many marketing campaigns, which made it seem like America is a country where people drive. Driving is a form of freedom. Even still to this day, like V8 Power, Built Forward Tough, these things were all a part of like the Highway Lobby's initiative to change people's perception on public transport and to make people want to drive a car and own a car, and that was a sign of freedom. You come to these other countries like Uganda, like Tanzania, some people drive, most people don't, and they have no concerns around driving. Where in the States, it's like by the time I'm 16, I want to have my license, I want to have my permit. This is all a part of the highway lobby, right? This is like some of their marketing campaigns. And the last thing that they did was actually make the zoning to where you can only have houses here, and then you can only have stores here, and then you can only have commercial buildings there. So they basically made the cities to be very spread out to where you needed to depend on some form of transportation, i.e. a car. So the area that I'm in right now, every area that I've lived in 3 different areas in Uganda. There's like 2 zones. Like you have like a 5-minute zone where you can walk within 5 minutes of your place and get all the fruits and vegetables and things like that you need. And there's like a 15-minute radius that you need to walk if you want to get like, if you want to go to a nicer restaurant, or you want to get to some kind of a mall where you can buy clothes, or like everything that you need is no farther than like 15 minutes out from your place walking. There's a lot of health benefits and cardiovascular benefits to being able to walk. And that could also be why there's so much less obesity and things like that in these parts of the world. Like you don't see obese people here, very rarely. Now, this next point, I think is one that's super underrated by people who are looking to move to another country, but it's like, I actually want to be here in Uganda, right? Like that's a major reason why I'm here, because I want to be. I'm a big fan of just being yourself, right? And you should be in a place where you can comfortably be yourself. See, in America, I started to feel as if there was a level of censorship. If you didn't really agree with the society's view on homosexuality or transgenderism, or you know, certain political views of the masses, you were in a way a black sheep. But there was also like punishments that came along with that, right? Like maybe losing your job, or losing your bank accounts, or losing different things that were important to you if you were not fully in agreement with the status quo. And so I decided to come to a country as to where they share similar views to me. See, when I come to Uganda and I get off the plane, it's like I'm exiting a time machine. I've been transported back to like, I don't know, the 40s or the 50s, where people are just more conservative, where people hold values and esteem values like family, like heterosexual relationships, like the importance of faith, as they hold it in high regard, right? A much higher regard than many other Western nations. This right here is actually the last point, and this right here is the most important point. Like I'm here because I can be, like I can afford to be here. It doesn't matter how much you want to be in a place, if you like just can't physically make it work, then you can't physically make it work. And so because of my digital nomad lifestyle, because of the type of business that I run, which again, if you guys want to learn what it is that I do for a living, as well as have the chance to like be on the phone and talk with me to figure out like if me and you working together makes sense, click the very first link in this video description, or visit www.nolimiteddy.com/video. Because I can make money anywhere in the world, and because I make enough money to easily be able to comfortably live here in Uganda every month, like I can afford to be here, right? And that's a big reason why I'm able to do this, right? And you want to live in a place, for me, to where, like we talked about earlier, the cost of living is very affordable to you, right? Like I wouldn't want to live in a place to where I'm struggling every month. I just don't want. I don't want that, right? I want to live in a place where I'm living so far below my means that it gives me comfort, because I'm able to grow my accounts. I'm able to stack a bunch of money, right? And I don't have to stress about food. I don't have to stress about rent. I don't have to stress about transportation. I don't really stress about anything. Like I said, though, it is oddly expensive. And I do spend more money here than I spent in my previous destination, which was Egypt. I like the quality of life, right? I like the friends that I have here. I like the food here. I like the greenery, like you guys are probably hearing birds chirping around. And like I said, I also just like the same Egypt, but I just like the culture of the people. I can relate to it. Don't stop here. I have over 4 years worth of content on this channel. I'm sure you'll love the video where I explain why I believe the American dream is dead and what you can do about it.